Right, good evening everybody. Welcome to our October Parish Council meeting. Just before we start, I'd just like to remind all councillors here why we are councillors. We are here to work for the whole parish, not for parts of it, not to serve any personal vendettas. The last meeting was a fiasco and I was ashamed to be a part of it. I will not tolerate any of that again. I will stop the meeting, that will be it. We've all signed the policies, we signed an anti-bullying policy, and in my view, that was bullying. So, no more. We work for the whole parish, that's everything, not for one part of it. That goes for all of us. So, that's what I wanted to say. What was said to our clerk was out of order. That's the end of it. Right,
Mr. Chair, the monitoring officer didn't then say.
that's what I said. Right, we'll open the meeting and we can receive reports from outside bodies. And I will start with Council Hill.
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, pleased to be back. I think I'm pleased to be back. So news, I mean, just within development in the parish, I mean, obviously I've been hunting these potholes that I was told were within this village, which I still can't find. I'm not saying the roads are perfect, certainly West Road is getting pretty ropey, I have to say, certainly to go out of the village, and I'll exclude the fens from that as well, because as you're well aware, it's a bit of a ongoing battle to keep them in a reasonable state, but there has been quite a bit of work done locally. Last time, I think fogging around Billingborough was mentioned, and there has been some more patching. I've just been down there, they have patched up, as far as I could see, in car lights, they've patched up all of it, I think, but it's still on the list. I've asked it to be done for a sort of a full job to be done, if you like, so it's done from one end to the other opposed to just patching. I've also asked for the estates down here to be looked at as well, because there were comments raised that. So the local highways manager is going to look at that to see if there's anything that can be done which will help that. It is, although there's no potholes, of course, it is very scabby and quite rough. So again, that's looking at to see. I haven't heard back what the result of that will be. In terms of national, obviously we're waiting to hear the final appointments from new Prime Minister. So we've got Michael Gove back as local government secretary. Various other people staying, and some changes as well. So we'll see where we get to with that. But it is also clear that following the shambles, I suppose, we had over the previous arrangements, it's pretty clear now that there's going to be some quite challenging times financially. We haven't heard for sure what we're going to get in that government, but quite sure the best we can hope for will probably be a flat settlement, in other words, no increase, and then we'll have to manage inflation. It could be worse, and I suspect, don't know yet, the government might say, well, you can put council tax up a bit more to make up the difference, because there still is a big issue with social care and funding that, so which is probably the biggest problem that County Council faces at the moment. The only other local thing I want to report is, I think I mentioned last time about the new reservoir, which has now been out. It's not out for consultation, it's out for pre-consultation, so it's now been identified as being between Pointon and that sort of area, and Stanby. Size of Grafton water, and it looks like there'll be funding between 10 metres and 20 metres. They are doing, I mean, what they've shown on this sort of the first phase of what they like to propose is they are going to try and move a lot of soil off and on site and then shape it. So there is a vision that there'll be a bit like Rutland Water, where there'll be all the leisure facilities you would get there as well. We'll see how that develops. Of course, it's not in the valley, although there is a slope, as we know, as you go towards the A52 to the south. So that's where they are at the moment, and there are some public consultations. There's one at Hawley and one at Billingborough locally, I think. Billingborough, I think, has moved from the 1st to the 11th or something like that of next month. So that's ongoing. Early days yet, and of course it won't actually be finished, probably 20 odd years or so. Most of the water will be from going down south, where they're short of it, and most of the water will come from the Trent and the Witham, but maybe also the 40-foot as well, which probably helps out a little bit. Because there are issues there about, there's always a constant risk in very wet weather, the south 40-foot will overcharge and flood the fen. So that's where we are with that. No formal decisions yet. They're very much taking soundings from local communities. I think about 11 properties will be lost. Obviously, quite a lot of farmland, and obviously there'll be disruption as well while building it to those. It goes pretty close to Sempringham and to Pointon and to Stanley actually, so that's sort of plot there. So that's the sort of big news of the local area, and we'll wait and see where they are. But that's their vision, that's sort of like a leisure facility as well as a storage, but it will be funded.
Mr. Chair.
Quite clear.
Mr. Chair, can I ask a question, Mr. Hill?
Yeah, I think that's it, I'll finish, so happy to if you want.
I just want, talking about it being sort of having the similar leisure facilities or, you know, not the same, obviously, not on the same scale as Rutland Water. Is there already provision for planning for the facilities that would be necessary, like a boating club or a...
Yeah, well, at the moment they've just given some, you know, like any planning, it could look like this, and they've got pictures of people on cycles and stuff. So all of that would have, because obviously it's what's called a national infrastructure project, so it will be determined by nationally by the government, although obviously councils of all sorts will have their input, as indeed will other people. It's the size of Grafton Water, so it's big. You know Grafton Water is big, so it will be quite a big change to the landscape. There is this sort of commitment to have the leisure and a bit like a mini Rutland Water. But Rutland Water is in a valley, which this isn't, it's mostly flat.
But I'm thinking about the obstacles that might present with having a cafe on site or a...
That will all have to go through the planning commission. Whether that sort of thing probably will be more locally planning, which is North Keston and not South Keston. But it will be a big event, and that will be obviously quite a bit of disruption when they start doing the work. But it is very early days yet.
The bank's going to be 26 foot high, Martin, did you know that?
Yeah, between 10 metres and 20 metres.
And they're losing 43 million gallons a day. I think it's disgusting. It's like having a hole in your diesel tank, just keep filling it up.
So, yeah.
No, 43 million gallons a day. It's a joke.
We'll see what happens with the consultation.
We'll see what, it's a long process, but they said they went through an extensive process of going all around the country, which was the best place, and what they say is that's the best place for it. But why they didn't pick a valley somewhere, we are where we are.
Yeah, I agree with
Would
you.
have made more sense, but that was the question I'm going to ask them as well.
Yeah.
Why not pick a valley? But for some reason they haven't.
Okay.
And you know, I think there's a sort of a dichotomy between how deep they'll go. I don't know the geology, because obviously geology works, and how high. Because the deeper they go, the less funds there'll be. But that's sort of a technical arrangement. But I say most of the water will come from the Trent and from the Witham.
And would that be lined with clay in the same way as standard reservoirs are? You know,
I would think so. I don't know is the answer. I mean, I guess so. The answer I don't know, but they will have to have to, because it is pretty grim stuff. A lot of the land isn't great there. It's not, there's a clay belt that runs through there, so it's not feather, which is probably why they've chosen it. I used to farm a bit around there. It's not what we call, it's not boys' land, is it?
It's a bit friendly. Thank you, Martin. Move on to the report from Councillor Dixon-Warren.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry I was late. Just 3 points as usual. SKDC's Cost of Living Task Force, as they call it, is moving forward to help those most affected by rising energy and household prices. There is a lot of information on the website, but they're also putting together a comprehensive infographic and a directory of phone numbers for those who don't have internet access or have difficulty working online. and that's going to go out in the next edition of SK Today, which goes into every home in the district. Parish's policing priority setting meetings feedback form has been circulated. The meeting is in early December. This is the third time that they've used this particular method to engage with the public, which is a statutory responsibility for the police. The more parish councils engage with this, the better you're going to see sort of results from your neighbourhood police. They are massively under-resourced, so they need to focus what resources they have as accurately and as precisely as they possibly can. That means if you don't have any priorities, you won't see them. And if you do have priorities that you want to raise with them, and if you want me to emphasise it because I sit on the meeting, then let me know. But the form has been circulated, so have a look at it. If you don't have a problem, then you don't have to reply. But it's always worthwhile letting the cops know that you exist, in my view. And finally, the South Kesteven Local Plan, which is a monstrously complicated document in my opinion, was adopted in January 2020 and is going to be reviewed again. If you want to be part of the review and the consultation that goes with that, I've sent the link to Rowena, so I'm not going to go into detail on it, but you have a link if you're interested in getting involved in what is a very, very big and complicated document. Feel free. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Right, I shall open the floor for a short while to members of the public. Questions, please.
The rocking rocket.
Yes.
What's happened to it? I know it's been discussed several times and it seems to have died a death. So where is it? Is it coming back? Is it up to standard? Is it in a grave somewhere?
Good question. I think Roy explained it to us last time. He said,
Yeah, it was where Austin used to work. They said they would sandblast it and paint it for free.
where is that?
It's still there.
Where is it?
What, the rocket, or where
No,
is it?
where did it work?
I'll pass on that one.
Oh, right. So basically we don't know where it is.
Yeah, it's safe enough, don't
Right.
But it's not on site.
Oh no, certainly not.
Mm.
And the post needs repairing before it comes back up anyway.
I think there's issues, isn't there? That from
I
what
think-
I remember, that if it's not on site, it's
I think
gone
there's
beyond
safety issues
acceptance.
with the rub.
Yeah, because it's been took away, it can't go back, basically.
Right.
It can if it's on the same post,
But
Rob.
it can't go on the same post, so can it?
Why
They're
not?
not safe.
If they're repaired.
No, it's not up to the new modern standard.
That was the issue.
I spoke with the man from the hospital.
Because each year, obviously, the safety get tighter.
The
And
only
the
time you've got
enforcement
to part from that is when you dig it up. If you was to dig it up and plant new posts, yes, it comes under the new bit. As long as the foundations are still the same and repaired to the proper standard, then it can go back on. The foundations are there. It's like taking the roundabout away. You can take, that's been away a couple of times. You can take it off, but the post that it sits on is the same. It's because of the age. Any new stuff comes under the new legislation.
So is there, or are there plans in place to repair the post? And who's going to be doing that?
Yes, it will be repaired.
Who's doing that? Is that
I
going
should
to...
imagine the firm that's doing the thing will as well.
Well, I think we're looking at plans as well for Liverpool equipment, which is no guarantee, but there are plans in place to rejuvenate, so maybe that'll all be combined, as whether it comes back or not.
Would have a plaque on it.
I met one of the people down last Thursday, and he's coming up with some ideas and plans from what I've been fed.
I'm going to open that up a little bit, Councillor Clark. Just, got some meetings of something in the pipeline. Could you?
Until I get the plans back, there's not really much to say.
What
we have
apparatus
one
are you
plan.
thinking of? What
Yeah,
apparatus are you? What specific things?
I left that to the best sellers, really, from Wicksteed at the time. We had obviously, you see the questionnaires and you see what they wanted, so we tried to combine a lot of that, like zip lines, accessible roundabouts, etc., new swings. But the plan that came back wasn't what we discussed, so they've gone back should be with me by the end of the week, according to the Wixley this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else?
I'm going to cover the village hall because it's no longer on the agenda.
Sorry?
Would you like me to cover the village hall, what's happening? Because it's not on the agenda anymore. There used to be a entry for like the social club and... Shall I do it now?
If you've got something to report.
Yeah, just to keep people informed, we've had our final inspection for the building control, for the roof and the side windows. Other than outstanding is they want more loft insulation. It's past everything else. They've happy with they exposed the footings and they're satisfactory. They're happy with the loading on the new roof, etc., etc. So other than going to Branch Brothers and getting some more loft insulation, it's all looking good. Beyond that, this month we've got 2 events, if anybody fancies going out for the night. There's in November we have a psychic evening and a blues night, which will be advertised. And then we'll have the New Year's Eve do. And basically everything's 10 quid, 112's free. So that's it for the moment on the village hall.
Okay, thank you.
The issue that's been raised several times outside my house, some phantom person's been and rectified it.
Oh, please hear it. Thank you very much.
Ride on round your roller skates now.
Any more questions? No? Okay,
Can
right.
I just interject?
Yep.
It's lock hire. It's the Microsoft.
Lock
Lock hire. LOC.
H, isn't it?
LOC.
Isn't it like the Scottish lock?
No, I think it's LOC hire. Lock hire.
Yes, you've got to go with that lock.
I'll get in touch with Austin again sometime this week and ask him in progress.
Okay, thank you, Roy. Right, I'll open the council session. I will remind all members that we are governed by the known principles which underpin the council's code of conduct. So, are there any interests that need to be registered? Anyone?
If everybody's finished with me, I'll go if that's all right.
Yes, that's fine, Martin. Thank you very much for coming. There'll be any apologies?
Christine for personal reasons,
Right.
but I've not heard from Joyce.
I'm not really anything from the US, so I assume she's running late. Right. So, sorry, I missed this bit out. Members are reminded to submit to the monitor officer at SKDC any changes in their content of their register of member of interest forms. Interest should be declared in accordance with the code of conduct. So that's just a reminder to everybody. Sorry, I missed that out. Any apologies? With no declarations of interest. So item 3, approve the minutes held on the 26th of September 2022. Everybody's received a copy, we've been through them, I assume? Yeah? Everybody happy that it's signed off? Good. Okay. We'll move on to finances. Receive the clerk's report on payments between meetings. Can I hand this up to you, Priya?
The standing order where it does say invoice not received, when I had to send the agenda out, I hadn't, but after chasing him up, yes, I have got that invoice now.
Which one are you referring to, sorry?
The PCPF,
Oh,
where it says
Yeah.
£100 standing order. I haven't received, the money had gone out, but I haven't received the invoice, so I just gave them a quick chase up. And then Maria Fryer's wage. wage again. She's on a full weekly wage, where I'm paid per month, so that's why that one says week 32 or month 7. The SKDC trade waste, again, invoice not received, but chasing them up, they said there was a delay. I've now received that as well, so that one's gone out. And then there's just the roster. I've written the incorrect amount out on the previous check because I haven't taken into account them checking the dusting.
The risk assessment's not been done yet, has it?
No, where it says consider and approve new financial regulations, I typed that wrong, it should have said risk assessment, but I haven't got that done yet, so that will go forward to next week, next month rather.
So financial should say risk assessment.
Yeah, so,
So not regulations either, just risk
no,
assessment.
it's a financial risk assessment,
Oh, okay. Oh, right, yeah.
where we've already had the financial regulations put in place, it's my typing error. So that will be risk assessment, financial risk assessment for next.
Update on outstanding payment received?
Yeah, we have received the money from the pavilion, the money that was outstanding for the pavilion. So that has been settled and paid in full. And that was 200 and something pounds. So that's now been, because from a couple of months ago it was one of the things that I found out hadn't been paid from last year, so we worked
Yeah, we did.
with, and I sent the invoice and it's all been, that's all been settled up and sorted.
So did he settle it himself or?
Yeah, well, I presume out of whichever account it arrived in our bank account.
That's okay, yeah.
Why to me to consider and approve budget spend for 6 months? You spent it all.
Just about. I've been doing a few figures and I'll send this out to everybody tomorrow. I literally got it done tonight. So far to the 25th, so today, Pointon has spent £9,062, and obviously with the precept and the football cost fees coming in, we brought in 11,769. But we had a precept of 10,000. So going forward to when we start planning next month for precept, it's going to have to be looked at.
So looking at those figures, just so we understand
Yeah.
them, I'm right to think we've now got a little bit of credit in the back by how much?
We have, but we only put in, you only put in for a precept of, was it 10,000 and...
10,300, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm just going on the 9,000
Yeah.
you said and then the 11,000 you just said.
We've had a precept of £10,017,
Yeah.
and the rest, to make it up to 11,000, is your football fees coming in and the rent from the pavilion. But up and, you know, we're now what, month 7, just finishing month 7.
So the 9,000 was related to what?
It is the fees for the 7 months
Okay.
that the council has been running.
Okay.
We'll all get a copy of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Next item, confirm the removal at your request from the signatories.
I've wrote myself a little note here. It would seem that the word check is missing agenda item number 4F. I sent an email to the chair quoting, I no longer wish to be the signatory on the Lloyds bank account for cheques, as their use is not transparent, and in my opinion it is open to fraud once more. To clarify, at the moment, when online payments are made, we all have the date, the payee and the amount. However, when a cheque is paid, we just have the clerk who knows from the counterfoil who has been paid. In my opinion, this is not transparent enough. An example given would be the bench. I have always intended to continue to process online payments as required.
So you don't want to come off.
I do as a signatory for cheques, yeah.
Can that be done as just for checks, or is it? I'm
Well,
not
I
aware.
don't want that to
We
have to
weren't
come back
actually
and
just doing
Just
any
that
checks.
sign and then.
Yeah, that's what I'm
The
saying.
thing is, I'm really in agreement because by the end of September till now, there's been 14 checks in the thing.
2 of which were wrong as
And-
well.
and nothing.
Amounts.
We don't know.
I think this was all explained at the last meeting. Until Rowena is on the bank properly, and we're still waiting with lawyers because the lesson's about, there's been stuff sent to the wrong addresses again, we'll use the checks. Then it will go back to
Yeah, but why can't you still do this with Rowena can send it to, I mean, you can set them up now, can't you?
yeah.
Rowena can send you what needs paying, and it goes in, you can see the money comes out of there and it goes into an account.
Rowena is our financial officer. She sets everything up. She can't set it up on internet banking because she's not on there yet.
I understand that. What I'm
So-
saying to you is she can send you a text, so same as before. We've always done it like that. I know we might have been wrong, whatever. Rowena says to you, we need A, B and C paying. You set it up and one of us authorises it.
Right.
And then you've got all the details there. All we've got down is 14 checks.
With
With-
the number.
Number, the only one I recognise was 1,000 something for the bench.
Yeah, I mean,
The rest of it, not a clue.
no.
It's
not
all accessible.
transparent.
It can be transparent if you contact
But
Rowena.
if it's gone through the
It's
bank account,
transparent
you
in the
know
bank account.
that it's come out of the parish council's account and it's gone into
No.
Maria Fry's account,
As I
it's gone
said-
into Rena's account, it's gone to pay this, that and the other. It's all there, all the numbers.
I know how internet banking works, I use it myself. But as I explained, Rowena is our financial officer. She is the one responsible for setting up the payments. So therefore, until she's on the internet banking, we'll be using checks because Rowena can set the checks up.
Well, I'm not prepared to sign the cheques, I'm afraid. So far, there's been 2 mistakes, and I don't know what's going out of the bank account. And I think that's a good enough reason.
Well, it's discussed at the meeting, we all know what's going out of the bank account, we're just good what's being paid. That's not good enough.
And also, there's things like now GDPR, and we don't know what amount is Rowena's wage, what amount is Marie.
Again, that was
Maria's.
explained at the last meeting.
No.
It was explained.
It was put down to GDPR, but that's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, well, that's how it works.
Why can't we as councillors know what that is?
We need to be
It doesn't
transparent.
have to be on there, but even us as councillors, we know.
I don't think everybody publishes the wages to the in public. You can know. You
We
can,
are-
you,
we
you,
are
you,
in
you,
public
you,
office,
you, can,
yes.
you can know, but it's not
I
been.
don't know. That's right. I
What
don't
I'm
know.
saying is that not even councillors know what that is. When you're not sending around other information to accompany that, to inform us.
But why shouldn't the public know what's been paid out
Well,
by
it
the
goes-
council?
It goes on to the EGAR at the end of the year, the financial year. There is a section that says staff wages.
The
It's
total,
it's
doesn't
published,
it?
it's published at the end of the year for everybody to
But
see.
if it is, why can't it just go there?
Because they're my wages and it's private information.
Even though you're in public office?
Yes.
What about us known as councillors though?
There's a checkbook there, there's my...
So you can just inform us then, that's all I'm asking.
Everything is there.
Everything is there, I bring it to every meeting. That there says my payslip, check number, tied in with that, paid on that day.
fine, if you're happy for that to be, looked at, that's fine. Fine by me, if I can look at that each time.
Yeah.
It's fine, isn't it, you know?
We don't make the rules. So,
You obviously do.
But we're in
Well, you're
public,
working by
we're in
check.
public office, and it seems, you know, there's no transparency, seemingly very much. You know, we don't have the checks, we don't have these salaries. you
Even
know.
councillors don't know,
No.
let alone the general public.
it's just been said, you're free to look.
We are
It's
from
protected, it's protected by the GDPR, we've gone over this before, so you're free to look, it's there, that's it. Okay?
That's in terms of the public. Thank you.
Did I see a member of the public raise a hand?
Yeah, sorry, I just wondered, if you sign cheques, why do you not know who the cheques are made out to?
Because usually we get a list, don't we? Well, there's 9 checks on one occasion. And it's quite a lot to have to do just straight after a meeting. And then,
Does it not say who the cheques are for?
well, it does say on it, but then Dean has to sign it, I have to sign it. Like then they have to go home, find the balance sheet, write against that cheque what I've just paid. Whereas when it's done online, it's already all on there. It's all listed for SKDC payments. It's listed for the clerk's wages, whatever it happens to be. I don't have to search.
I think what the lady's trying to say is that if you're signing a cheque, it is transparent.
Yes, because it says.
Because it has on it the pay's name.
Yeah, but the point
Are you
is,
signing
I
blank
think-
cheques
yeah, but
then?
the point is,
No.
if you're signing off 9
It's 2
checks,
signatures.
It's only 9 checks.
yes,
Well,
9
yeah.
checks in one evening, and then if you want
Signatures.
to put that against the bank account which you are,
I think we're going round in
It's 9
circles
checks.
and going nowhere.
9 signatures.
The
Doesn't take long.
The reason there was 9 checks was because there'd been invoices that had been missed.
I'm not saying
No,
that 9
ju-
checks is a lot.
No,
I'm just saying that
due
9
to the
checks
online banking.
isn't a lot.
No, and me coming in, there was invoices that I found that hadn't been paid.
Yes, but all I'm trying
So,
to make out
yeah.
is this lady
Yeah.
said that if you're signing a cheque, there's no way you're going to sign a blank cheque. So you just read who it's made out to, and it's transparent.
This month there's 2 checks.
Oh well, that's easier.
Maybe we'll put it in the spreadsheet.
I think,
I
we'll
think it's
move,
all,
I think we'll move on from that, as it said, we've explained it before, it will remain as it is until Rowena is on the bank, and then we'll revert.
But it's taken a long time to
It
get
is
up.
taking a long time, it took a very long time to go,
Like 6 months.
but some of mine was sent to the wrong address, and we're chasing up Rowena's at the minute. It's been sent there again. It's not, it's falling on the bank's part, I agree, absolutely falling. But there, right, we'll move on.
can you just ask, sorry Mr Chair, before we leave finances, we've been looking at each one, we've approved, we haven't actually approved verbally, have we, any of those? We've just talked about them. Do we actually need to verbally approve them?
You want to,
Well, you know, it says to consider and approve. If you're going to put that word there, then surely we should be approving it.
Taking a vote.
if that is,
That's what it means, isn't it, Rowena?
You're going round in circles now, I can tell you something you can't see.
No.
Well, I've seen, we haven't seen the risk assessment because,
I didn't
So
think
like I
that.
said, I typed that wrong, so there's no point in me bringing that to the meeting,
so
because I haven't put it on the agenda
so
correctly.
C's not been approved.
C's not been approved because we've already got the financial regulations. Like I said, it should have said financial risk assessment, and because even if I'd have brought a risk assessment tonight, because it hasn't been put on the agenda correctly, we wouldn't have been able to
Yeah,
discuss
I
it.
understand that, yeah.
So therefore,
I understand that.
I've said, I typed that wrong, therefore there's no point in me bringing a financial risk assessment to the meeting tonight because it hasn't been put on the agenda correctly.
Okay, and then E, to consider and approve the budget spend, is that when you went into the
The amounts,
reset
the
to-
figures.
which will all be sent.
Okay, so we're approving something that we haven't seen in detail.
Yeah.
That's
But what I'm
everything's
saying
there.
is that's not really satisfactory, is it? To be passing round something now that you want to see approval on, and there's just too much here to digest. You know, they're really happy to wait while I read it all. You know,
Or
it's
I defer it and put it on the meeting.
Defer it.
Defer.
Defer
just
it.
easier, isn't it? I
Yeah.
mean, it means that
Defer
you
it.
have
And
seen it.
then we'll all have a copy and you can all read through it. There it is.
And that sounds like that sounds like a good process. See it before you approve it. So in terms of removal of councillor Ram, that's not,
No,
That's not-
I intend to do the online payments as required. Always have.
I'll just put a note here that you want to be removed from signing of cheques.
Yeah, just because I just don't
And
think they're
I'll
transparent.
put that and I'll write that just against that.
did we do G?
I'll just about get to it.
Oh, sorry, beg your pardon.
So item G, to consider the purchase of the 13th edition of Arnold Baker Local Council Administration. I understand that Rowena's been using a copy that was purchased by another of her councils.
And it
It's
is,
our turn coming up.
it's the 8th edition and we're now on the 13th edition.
Okay, how much does this cost
£140.
per year or
No,
just
for
one out?
the Yellow Bible.
And
Because buying through Loud, obviously they get a discount.
so how does it work, if I might ask please? If you're working for several councils, surely they don't all fork out one of those because you can't use four or
No,
three.
That's
at
why
the
I'm
same time.
using one,
Right, so
an 8th edition, but it is purchased by you for your council. And
So-
then if I move, just like the computer stays, the book stays.
I see.
When was the last time we bought one?
I remember buying them before, not long ago.
No.
No.
It's
Well, nothing's come to me.
handed to you.
Nothing's been handed to me.
We did purchase one
Yeah.
within the last 3 years, definitely.
Well, it wasn't in the contents that was handed to me.
So you hold three copies of that, do you?
No, one.
No. So what about your other parish councils that you work for? Do they have one of
So
these?
you're just sharing the same one, are you? Yeah.
Yeah.
So in that case, shouldn't all the councils
Just
split the
contribute.
cost?
Just-
Why are we
Share it
paying for
between
the whole
three.
cost?
Alright.
But then when I move, do I divide the book into 3
No,
or 4 or whatever?
no, you don't. But I think in terms of what it's costing us here and now would be less. You know, personally. I mean, what do they do? How do they cope then if they haven't got a copy?
That copy is shared, like I say, shared.
Right. So
Yeah, it's
So
shared. If, I'm asking to consider the purchase. If you don't want to
I
have
think
one
if
name,
you-
then fine.
I think if you have a council that currently know that you share that,
Yeah.
then it seems only reasonable for them to share the cost of a new one.
So let me understand this right. Somebody was happy to buy one 2 or 3 years ago, which has gone missing, and now we're looking at purchasing one. We're not happy.
Don't know, it wasn't involved in the original purchase. I have no idea where it's gone. I mean,
Right.
could that be followed up? Is that something we've asked specifically from?
Everything was passed to me from the previous clerk, and there was no yellow book in there.
So have we ordered one, Roy? You say we've
We've ordered one within the last 3 years.
I
Definitely.
remember Wendy getting one ages ago, yeah.
Wendy Gregg or
Yeah,
Wendy?
no, Wendy Moore.
Yeah.
And that was like £25 back then.
That's, no,
So-
we've had a new one,
No,
that's
that's the one
expensive,
since
it's
then.
100 quid.
Yeah.
I think maybe we should just find out if anybody knows what that is before we fork out.
Maybe.
That's not going to solve the problem.
No, but if we've got
Fine.
one,
Oh,
if
yeah, I
someone, if
understand
there's
what
one
you're saying.
circulating, if you could ask, if you wouldn't,
Well,
is it kind of to
with
ask Wendy Moore, then we'll ask,
the people we'll have with
Wendy.
clerks, I'm
Mm.
thinking we're not going to find it anyway.
Mm.
Because
So have we got to
all
defer this?
I know is we've got, you know what I mean, the clerks that I know of
Yeah. It could be anywhere, couldn't it?
So there's, you know, there's been 1, 2, 3 that I know of.
I'm very keen to bring this council up to date on all rules and regulations. I personally think, having a book like that we've gone through and meeting to check something out, is a worthy asset. That's my opinion. I don't know what anybody else thinks, Rob?
I agree with you.
Right?
Yes, she certainly needs one.
You know, we definitely need one,
but it's
but
the
it's,
cost, isn't it?
I mean, I'm thinking about these other things that,
I think some of the costs we've looked at in the past have been a lot more than that, than a book to keep us up to date with the rules.
yeah,
I
no,
can't personally, I can't see the problem.
okay. I'm just thinking about these costs that we've incurred,
Are we going to take a vote on whether we purchase this book or not?
Yeah.
I'll say, I'll vote yes, we'll purchase it.
I'll vote
Right?
Yeah, we
we
need
need one, we need one. It was just, you know, a way of saving money, a
Okay.
suggestion.
Yeah, well, I'm all for saving money, but I think that is a necessity. Right, item 5.
Okay.
H. The change is to yourself. H.
Consider sort of paying for the clerk as per the suggestion for the internal audit.
I've got on it. I ain't got the money either.
Yeah. Okay.
What is it? Item H is...
It's alright, I'll defer it to the next meeting. If you're saying you haven't got it on your
Is there
agenda,
not, you know, there's no H.
There's no H on
then
here. I've
fine.
got an H on mine. Well, we haven't. Would you like to borrow this one?
Not
Yeah,
not
but
really,
they
not
have-
really.
they haven't seen it.
If all council's not got it, we can't discuss
Oh,
it.
okay.
So, sorry.
It's on the website.
Sorry.
What was it for?
To consider self-training for me.
We discussed that in the last meeting though, didn't we? We said it was a good idea. Yeah.
Yeah, but like you said, it didn't go down to a vote. So,
No, it didn't go to a vote.
so it was brought up as part of the internal audit.
Can we also discuss when we do, obviously if we deferred, about similarly sharing that with other councils?
I know one of my other councils has said that they want me to complete it, so I'm sure they'll be
So therefore
happy.
we could, that's what I'm
I'm
thinking
sure-
about, you know, the costs could be shared,
Yeah,
there's a
I'm
lot
sure
of costs there.
they'd be happy to
Is
share
there,
that.
okay,
I can't really ask the other council that don't want me, you know, or aren't bothered about me doing it.
right,
But
How many councils do you work for at the minute?
3.
Three.
But the one of the councils that does want me to do it, I'm sure they'd be happy. Because again, they've got a very small precinct.
So we can't vote on that, but we didn't vote on last time. Can't vote on that? 'cause
No,
it's not.
Because
Okay.
it's not on the agenda that you've got.
Okay.
so before that then, before we look at it, will you be able to ask them formally?
Yeah.
Thank you, and clear that up, wouldn't we?
Yeah.
Right, item 5. Clerk's report.
Code of conduct, I've just got to say that everybody is now signed. And again, that is sort of, as part of the internal audit, it was suggested that it is minuted, that everybody is signed, so the code of conduct, everybody has signed, so now it can just go into the minutes and be noted. The litter picker contract is all sorted and done.
Yeah, I actually missed that meeting, didn't I? So I don't know anything about any of this. So I was actually unable to come to the meeting.
At the time, she was self-employed and she put in invoices,
Yeah.
but it came to light that she didn't have insurance. She presumed she still came under the council insurance, and obviously she didn't because she was self-employed. So it was easier to bring her under our insurance, and then we pay her
But does that
instead
not,
of her sending in an invoice.
does that not give us other implications like pensions and things
No,
like that?
she works 9 hours
Not enough
a month, so
But
she
that's
doesn't
just
qualify
for us.
for sick pay, she doesn't qualify for.
So that's just for us,
For
she works
pension.
9 hours, she may work for other companies, which is
Yeah.
the thing we don't know.
But for us, it's 9 hours,
Yeah.
and each, like I work for 3 councils, I can't group everything together and say I work enough hours to claim a pension, because I have 3 different
It
pots.
was minuted about the contract, or this
Yeah.
was it, it was all
Yeah.
minutes.
Was this
Well,
sorted out by the HR team?
Sorry?
Was this contract sorted out with the HR team? Because I've not seen any correspondence.
I haven't really.
Contracts come through, email, haven't they?
Yeah, but Roy's saying, does it come through the HR committee? Has it been?
I mean, has the HR committee set it up and all that? Because I seriously haven't seen anything to do with the particular contract.
It was looked at, and it's come up now.
But is it under the HR's remit?
It will be from now on, you know, for
But
just the same as I signed my contract on the day that my first meeting, and then we've moved on to having the HR staffing committee, and therefore terms of reference is in one of the sets of minutes.
But we did have an HR committee when you were appointed, so we did have a committee.
And they're the same people that interviewed me, and now formally the HR committee, and their terms of reference is now in the minutes. The thing is, everything's got to be minuted.
So that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
The HR committee set up the contract for Maria.
No,
No.
they didn't.
No?
Yes, no. I think that's
It
new,
was
isn't it, Roy?
Eh?
We had an HR committee, but the HR committee's not doing what's in their remit, somebody else's. Is that right?
this is box standard contract, isn't it?
It's
It
got
prints
a
out.
contract.
That the councils for employees, it's printed up. I mean, you can see a copy of it by all
Yeah,
means.
it's not about seeing the copy, it's about
It's
the
knowing,
HR
knowing
committee.
what's happening. I'm not getting any emails
Well,
at all.
Well, we discussed this, it's in the minutes of that meeting. It was discussed, Roy.
It's about process, isn't it? And if you've got an HR committee and it's in their remit, then the
If
HR
something is
committee should
discussed
be-
at a meeting and it's in the minutes, it's up
Putting
to
it
you
out.
to read the minutes and know what was discussed.
I'm not
Not come here and ask questions about what was discussed.
No, you need to go back another step. I'm not suggesting that I haven't read the minutes. What I mean is that if an HR committee has it within their remit to sort out contracts, the HR committee were not asked to do that. And the HR committee was in place, wasn't it, Mr. Wasn't it,
I'm
Rob?
that's what I'm just
I missed
checking.
that as well.
Right, so what does that mean then? People are missing the meeting, so it just carries on, does it? You know, you're not following process there, are you? In somebody's absence.
I would understand it if we were writing our own contract, that it's a box standard council printed up contract. We're not writing anything
And I
into it,
think
it's
for
box
an
standard.
I think for an HR committee who are new to their role, they need to be on board from the start.
I wouldn't argue
It
that.
was discussed, both of them at the same meeting.
Okay, and as far as I recall, there was only one member of the HR committee here, wasn't there?
That was when 3 parish councillors was there.
There was one member, yes.
So does that one member have the jurisdiction to?
It depends whether you want a lift picker or not, doesn't it? Do you want a lift picker or
No,
not?
that's not. You
Well,
can,
she's not got a
you can always
contract.
counter up like that. But what I'm talking about is the process and the transparency of this council. That if the HR have a role to play, then they need to be given that role to play, to fulfil their role.
I think with the council meetings and with the council short, things have to be pushed ahead.
But they
And,
can't.
when and as I've said, if we were drawing up our own contract, I would 100% agree with you.
But
We're not.
But that
We're
contract
down
wasn't
with-
even circulated to the HR committee, Mr Chair. It,
says here to discuss the formation of a HR staffing committee, and it was resolved to create the committee of councillors Clark, Freeman and Green, as these councillors initially interviewed Clark. And yeah, and then it goes on to say who the members are, the terms of reference, and then it also, at the same meeting, because then it went into closed session, didn't it, that it was resolved that the litter picker should be employed by the parish council and the contract created.
and that,
Have you seen the contract?
no.
And that was the August meeting.
So, I think that,
Because also at that meeting, it says to discuss an extension, Clark's 3-month appraisal to accept the panel of the HR and staffing committee and to arrange a date of appraisal. As some of the staffing committee could not attend, it was resolved that the councillors that were in attendance would conduct the 3-month review, and it was resolved that everything was acceptable and the clerk would continue as she is.
that's because you had one member of the HR committee there who did all of that. Now is that, I don't know whether
That's right.
that's admissible. You know, I understand you want to get things moved on, but surely if you've got a committee, you need to put that forward, but even if it's just
But I've got nothing in the minutes that I had as I started, that there was actually a HR committee,
well, the HR committee was formed for your interview, they were the HR.
but it wasn't resolved, it wasn't written in the minutes.
We didn't have a clerk to write them in the minutes, did we?
But somebody was writing those minutes at that, you know, in the time before I
So
started.
then it must be minuted, so I do recall the chair saying that person, that person, that person. I do recall that, so,
But I
I
think
didn't
that,
say that first.
I think-
I invited people.
yes,
yeah,
but
but what I mean, yeah.
was that to interview me or form a committee?
That was to interview you.
No, it was actually put in the terms of an HR committee that would conduct that
We're still on
interview.
the film, that, weren't we? Not recording that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we can come back over that.
I mean, we can go back to it and, you know, pick at it, but all I'm trying to say is that the transparency is not there and the communication is not there. In the sense that I don't know, I'm on this committee, first I knew about it was when I read it in the minutes. You know, and that's not how it should be.
I take your point, but is this going to change anything as regards
The point is it should be noted in the minutes that it will change and that communication will be improved
well,
and that those who are on
that
various
has
committees
been
actually
said.
follow. No, it hasn't.
Louise just said it to you.
I found it where it's noted annual general parish council meeting on 17th of May. Staffing matters, one application CV has been received for the parish council clerk. It was agreed that the interview panel would be made up of councillors Freeman, Green and Clark, and Lauk will provide suggested interview questions. The panel would meet liaise prior to the interview.
Yeah.
It doesn't
No,
it doesn't say in the minutes that
but
I've
you
got that it was a
unfortunately,
committee.
the minutes aren't necessarily a true record of what was said. You know that historically. That's why the point I'm making is that, yeah,
I can only go
I
on
know you can only go on that.
what,
That's
and
right.
that's why things
And
Like we
unfortunately,
said, code of conduct, etc., so it's down in minutes.
yeah, I understand.
Right, I think we can get to the point where it will be improved. You agree, Rhea?
Yeah.
It will be improved, but we'll go ahead with the contract because it is just a basic contract, or do you want to defer that as well?
No,
I
no.
think,
I do
right.
want to read it, because I haven't seen it at all.
Oh, I see.
I'd like to read it. Yeah.
I just want improvement in
And all the other
communication and
things, just
transparency.
That is, would,
No.
no, but that would only go to the HR committee.
Are we trying to go forward with this, council? It's just like stalling. Everything is stalling.
And that's because, Mr Chair, that some of your councillors do not feel inclusive, this is not inclusive, the way this council runs itself. And there's a lack of communication, a lack of emails, a lack of following up. Some, you know, if I send an email, it's not answered, you know, so.
No, that's true.
The easiest thing, I mean, if it was only Rob here at the time and the other two HR, Rob could have contacted the other two. And then when they made the decision, put it out to all councillors, this is what they decided, do we agree? And it goes back to Rob or whoever sent the initial email, job done. Then everybody's seen it.
So,
I've got no qualms about having a contract and stuff like that, whether it be a basic contract or a 50-pager. It's a contract that nobody's seen. And you want us to agree to a contract, it's fine. It's a contract. At the end of the day, it's a legal binding thing. And nobody's seen it. That's all we're trying to say.
we'll defer it until you're all seeing it. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, defer that, Rhea?
Yeah, but who am I sending it to? It should really just go to the staffing committee.
Go to the HR committee.
HR staffing
So
committee.
the ones that
So if you're not on the staffing committee, you still don't get it.
Then why shouldn't, when they've made a decision or and seen it, why should the other councils see it?
Because you're not part of the staffing committee, this was the idea.
Yeah, but the staffing committee.
The staffing committee is there to make the decision,
Surely that's
and then it's the whole
disseminated to
council.
council. Otherwise you're keeping your council in the dark. This communicates.
You
Within the
treat the
council,
staffing committee
it's fine.
should be,
I tell you what, forget the staffing committee, and every council will get a copy of it. Another look. And we'll have something else for us to get the next time to do. And we'll get nothing
Excuse me,
done.
Mr Chair, can you just have a look? There's a lot of noise coming from the other
Yeah.
end. It's quite embarrassing.
May I just say something?
Yeah, no, I just say so.
Are we still on the contract for the litter picker?
Yes, I'm afraid so.
Good grief.
You're totally divided.
Paul,
You're totally divided.
just hang on, ladies.
Sorry.
If you only have like seven, you have seven, I presume,
Yeah.
councillors, why do you employ lots of different people then? Why do you have a HR committee?
It was suggested to us by Lowe that
And the internal audit
an
that we had,
HR
the
committee.
HR committee.
We now have two.
There's a lot of bureaucracy that unfortunately, despite the small size of us, you have to have. And that's one of them.
and we never had this problem
We have to
before.
have, we have to have policies for everything.
Thank you.
Right. So we've deferred the letter picker's contract for another meeting.
But that,
Are you happy to send a copy out to all councillors?
does that have to be deferred
Thank
to the next meeting though, Mr Chair? Can't it be circulated and then gone
No,
back
because
and
you haven't got
back
time to read it. You can't get the figures in, so you can't read the contract now, can you?
No, I'm not talking about it now. I said when it's circulated, Mr Chair, then we've all seen it and it can go back to Arena surely, and then Arena can finalise whatever needs to be done. Doesn't have to wait
But
till the next meeting.
At the end of the day, she signed it. Because she started on the 1st of September with us.
Yeah, because we discussed it at that meeting.
Yeah.
1st of October, I think you signed it was.
No, 1st of September.
So it said to me in the letter that she was starting.
Can you just send us a copy?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not deferred, she signed it, you can all have a copy.
She wanted to set a standing order up for her and everything, didn't it? So,
And that was discussed.
yeah, that was discussed,
Yeah.
but we didn't even have a contract.
This is just my report to say what has been going on in the parish. Like, the coronation of King Charles has now been stated that it will be on the 6th of May. And they're looking for street parties. So again, you know, we need to start thinking of that, because the elections are on the 4th of May.
But there won't be elections if nobody starts.
But the election process still has to go. Elections
It's 4
will,
years, isn't it?
yeah, 4 years. So therefore, the elections will be called,
More expensive.
and that's more expensive, and that is again something that needs to be taken into account for using, for starting to think about the precept, because you're going to have the cost of the coronation and you're going to have the cost of the elections.
I mean, can I speak? We may not have had a street party for the Jubilee, but the work that was put in and the day that was had by everybody at this school, which was there for the whole village, was brilliant. And the actual feeling of goodwill and niceness and community spirit was fabulous. And if we could do it for the Jubilee, we can do it for the coronation.
I know they've said it is a bit of a quieter affair than the Queen's, but I'm just bringing it up that there will be costs coming up, and they've got to start thinking as a parish what you want for the coronation.
Well, I'll certainly consider something similar, because it didn't cost a lot.
No, it didn't, and it went down so well.
It did,
The
it was
feedback was really, really encouraging.
Yeah, we'll make a note of that consideration.
It's just me letting you know
Yeah,
what date's coming through.
thank you for that.
And then the usage of Scribe, I'm finding more and more how to use it. And like I say, I've been able to spend time today and I've pulled that report off, so you can now see how much things are being spent each month.
And we've got that down as,
Usage of Scribe.
Yeah.
It's just me letting you know
It's being used.
it's being used.
It's clear, well set out.
and is that the one that we're sharing cost with?
No.
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 That's the £450.
Yeah, so is there no possibility of sharing costs for that with your other council?
No, because it's all set up just per council.
It's our figures in it. It's the accounting package.
So this is to do with the finance, you say? What did you
Yeah.
say, sir?
No, this is Clerk's report. She's just reported that she's able to use Scribe. It's been very useful. It's making the figures clearer to read. And she's basically reporting to us and saying she's given us
Yeah.
well there.
I see that, and is it a financial document? What is
It's
the
an accounting package.
accounting package? So
Right.
if it's an accounting package, will you actually need, if you're more adept with these, your skills, you're upskilled with that, could we then, do we have to pay this £153 for this cost for the auditor? I know it has to be scrutinised, but
No, because we have to have an internal audit every year.
It's not no choice. We have to have it.
So is it going to save us any money, this Scribe?
It's going to make things clearer.
It's going to make things easier for the clerk.
And it makes it, so
Is it going to
Well,
save us any money,
if
as in hours?
yeah,
Well,
because
yes.
So the clerk will be employed, etc.,
Yes.
etc.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it should.
it's taken time to set it up to make sure I've got the right headings,
That's the whole point.
but now it's set up, you know, that will run from this year into next year or whatever, and it actually saves you money because I spend less time.
And that stays with us, does it, the
Yeah.
Scribe?
Yeah.
Stays with us on
It's
But
on,
Mhm.
That's it, yeah. Right, item 6. Discuss the purchase of the first Platinum Jubilee bench.
Anthony, yeah. My only gripe about this, obviously, there is another bench that's been ordered, is that I'm struggling to see how a resolution can be reversed when full council have voted on something.
Unanimously.
As explained last time, you went to the meeting, there was a discussion on the plat, it had been on the agenda twice. I decided we had to move on, else we'd be sitting here now with no bench ordered and nothing done, because I'm
Okay.
quite sure if we'd decided what the instruction was, it wouldn't have been right. So,
I think you're talking.
can I finish, please?
Yes, of course, yeah.
So, we decided that we would go with the bench, we would get it ordered, it was saving money, so money can be used for things like the yellow book, and that was it, and I will take that one, that was down to me.
Okay, well, it says in the standing orders that a resolution shall not be reversed within 6 months.
Well, it'd be nice to draw a line under it and move on, wouldn't it?
It would be, but what I come back to, Mr Chair, is the transparency of this and the integrity of this, because if you can have a resolution that's passed unanimously by the
We are
council,
going round and round in
then
a circle.
how can we know that we can actually trust any of the decisions this council makes when it's prepared to go back on a unanimous vote, on a unanimous motion? And that is where I really struggle.
And I agree with you, but when I came onto this council, you had a fortnight before everything had to be in with the external auditor. So I concentrated on that. I wasn't supplied with any standing orders or any copies or anything.
What's that got to do with the bench? Sorry,
Are
it's
you
already been
going to let Rowena finish,
resolved.
please?
Yeah.
So I didn't know you had standing orders in place. I couldn't find
No, we
any
didn't.
standing orders.
We had standing orders in.
But nothing had been given to me, which is why we had them on the agenda for July.
Yes, but there are generic standing orders that apply to all parish councils.
They're not generic. There's only certain areas, the bold bits have to be adhered to. The lighter, not the unbold bits, can be tailored for your parish.
Yeah, because you've sort of removed those, I've noticed, from the new standing orders, or any other business section that we used to always have.
But that is bad practice to have any other business.
Our district councillor did the standing orders.
I'm only going on what the training I've had with Lauk. Any other business,
I think we're going away from this my point though, which is,
and I've just agreed with you, you shouldn't go back.
so why?
Because when I arrived, I'd like to say we had 2 weeks to get the accounts done. I have no minutes, I have no standing orders, I've still got minutes missing that you're never meant to get rid of minutes, but there is a great big section of years of minutes that I can't find.
I guess.
So I had nothing.
But at the end of the day,
So I didn't know what bench, and like I've said to you, in the minutes that were available on the website, it doesn't name names of which bench.
And this is
etc.
why minutes have to be so precise, because you pick over every word, and I don't have any.
But I didn't write those
I know,
minutes. No.
I know.
So I can't help you on that.
But the point is, the only bench that had been discussed at that point was the original bench, right? There wasn't another bench in the equation.
Where
It
is
says,
it?
no motion may be moved at a meeting unless it's on the agenda.
What are you hoping to achieve with this discussion?
What what I'm trying to achieve is that this council actually conducts itself in an honest manner, in a way that shows integrity, in a way that communicates to everybody what is needed. Because, you know, in my absence, something was changed. And we used to say that this council might decide that they're going to put up the rates for the footballers. I mean, you could do that, couldn't you?
No,
We
it's
did.
not on the agenda.
You could, no, I know, but you put it on the agenda, you could do that. Was it on the agenda that you was the motion to, the motion was to agree the writing, okay? And the writing was already circulated to everybody, and there were several copies, and there was also feedback from councillors about what their preference was. So everybody knew that information. My point is, we've got a bench. I don't personally mind what bench it is, but what I'm talking about is the process here. And I just don't feel that...
We've got the process wrong, and I'll take that one on the chin. Like I said, that was down to me. I wanted to move it forward, because we don't seem to get everything done, because things are getting picked over time and time again, and they have to be deferred and added to the agenda and dragging the meetings on and on and on. I am here to stand up for this parish and to get things done.
You are here
And
to
I'm
conduct
fed
the
up
meeting.
I'm fed up with going round in circles.
Yeah.
And I took it bull by the horns that night and said we'll go with that bench and get it done. Not defer it again.
You didn't have to defer it then. That's the point I'm making, Mr. Chair. Because everybody had the information that they needed. Everybody's already agreed unanimously that we'd go for that bench. If you were so uptight about the plaque, you could have said we don't want anything on it. You know, that was an alternative.
I don't think that would have been accepted. So,
well, you did what you wanted anyway. So what did it have made? You said,
it's done. So we've now spent a quarter of an hour going round and round in circles, and we've got no.
We have, but at least we have got somewhere, because you've admitted that you're taking it on the chin.
Yeah, and I will.
Yeah. And can I have that also minuted that in future any unanimous decisions are actually
We will follow the
adhered
proper.
to?
We will be following the proper rules.
Okay, so why
We-
weren't
we
we following the proper rules before? That's my point. You've been in post how long, Mr. Chair?
And I didn't have a clerk with give me any information until Rowena came along. Thank you very much.
But even in the standing orders, it says.
Right,
it's
come
not
on,
ordinary.
let's move on. I'm fed up with going round and round in circles.
Could I just make sorry, this is the first time I've been to this meeting.
You enjoy it?
I am actually. I find it amazing that you're, obviously, I want to not probably say what's going on in my head, but I'm just thinking, I find it amazing that Parish has councillors that would speak to the chairman as they've just spoken to you.
Here, here.
Wasn't the same last time. School bullying.
It's called healthy debate.
I draw you back to the monitoring officer who had absolutely no problem with the debate we had at the last meeting. And what I want to just outline is that the chair's responsibility is to manage the meetings of the council and to represent the council at civic events.
Yeah.
And actually, with that brings with it the responsibility of fostering constructive relationships between councillors. You don't answer my emails, Mr. Chair. You do not communicate with me. I've had one email from you in the last 2 or 3 months.
I'm sure it's all the emails became totally particularly astounded at the levels that it's only using email.
It's not from me, I'm afraid. Not from me.
I reply to emails that I won't reply to. I will not get involved in pettiness.
No, I agree.
And that
And
is
nobody's
my
asking you to. And those are not the emails
Anyway,
I sent.
if we're not going to move forward, I'll close this meeting. So can we please move forward, because we are going round and round in circles and I've about had enough.
Okay, can you just read back what you've put in place then regarding how these meetings are conducted and resolving issues, please? What have you got?
These are just my rough notes.
Yes, can you just clarify what you've got? What points have you got
Okay.
that the chair has agreed to?
It says minutes DW takes full back on. GF wants his mistake to be noted.
And what about the, we will now follow the protocol?
Yeah.
No, you haven't worded that, which was the chair's.
But it will
It's on
be
the
in the minutes. These are my notes
Okay.
to type up to bring to the next.
So you're going to remember all those gaps? I'll take my hat off to you.
Right, we'll move forward to item 7. To consider and discuss ordinary scheme of delegation. No, was it?
It was asked to be put on the agenda, so I put it on the agenda.
What is it?
It's what's been sent round on the policies, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So can you outline it then?
Everybody, all councillors have had a copy. So
I've
why
read them
should
all.
so why should I be outlining to you information that you've already received?
Well, it just says to
To-
consider and
Well,
discuss.
is there anything from it?
You've had the information,
Who-
now to consider and discuss it.
Who asked for that on the agenda? Because that's the person who needs answering to, isn't it?
But you kept saying in all that I don't have, you wanted to know about the delegation of powers that I have as an
So is that
RFO.
what that is? Sorry, that's a completely different title. I was misunderstood again. You
Well,
see, it's communication. That's delegation of power, is it?
Well, if you read the information that I
I've
sent
read the
you,
information. I've read all the
yeah,
documents.
it tells you what powers I have as an RFO.
And it doesn't stretch to amounts over £1,000, does it?
That was for the bench that was discussed and approved at the meeting by councillors to purchase. I didn't go off on my own and decide to write a cheque out for £1,000.
It said that you have the authority to tell councillors to pay that amount, but you chose to sign the cheque.
No, I asked her to sign it.
Yeah, but Rowena never signed the cheque before.
She has
Why,
that, she has
Councillor
that power.
Greenwood was here,
He wasn't here at that point. Roy had gone through the door.
but he was here in the meeting.
Well, when we done the cheque signing at the end, Roy wasn't here. So,
Yeah, but he
I
was
used
here.
up,
You could have asked him to stay.
so Rowena used, I asked Rowena to use her signature.
This is what I mean about
It's just
how I'm not happy to sign cheques. Because things
Fine,
like this are
fine.
happening. It's just not.
That's not from your chairman. Your chairman is saying that that cheque is okay, and you know exactly what that cheque's for, and Rowena is your finance officer, then
Sorry, who am I speaking to before I address you? Because I'm Councillor Ram, but I haven't seen you here before.
no, I'm going to be new to the village probably.
Okay.
And you are.
No, she's a member of the public. You don't have to read his name.
Well, I'm sorry, but
I think
You
actually,
don't-
when you do speak at a meeting, you are supposed to stand up and
yeah,
introduce
you are
yourself.
supposed to stand up.
That
Oh,
is
yeah.
massive.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You don't have to.
You don't have
You
to.
don't have to. You do not have
It's
to.
courtesy, though, isn't
It's
it?
courtesy, and
No.
It's courtesy to put your hand up rather than put it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're a new villager, basically, yeah?
Possibly, yeah.
You don't put tough guy tonight.
Oh no.
But, so,
I can't remember what we're saying now, so.
you want to
Talking about the
Rowena
delegation.
signing the cheque,
The
because I have to.
Oh, that's it, yeah. I just don't
It's not
understand
like
why
you-
it was pushed through so quickly.
We were
There's
signing the
nothing
cheque.
happening very quickly tonight, is there? Let's say that.
Thank you,
It's
Paul.
disgraceful,
Thank you.
absolutely
You should not be
disgraceful. It really is.
interacting with
interacting
the audience,
Yeah,
with
why
the
can't you just unite together?
I was trying to keep the meeting in order.
Why can't you just unite together a little bit more and try and agree with one another? This is it's disgusting.
I absolutely agree with you, Paul, but we've got to keep some sort of order, mate. Thank you.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to say here, you reprimand us for speaking, and this is totally bad behaviour. So I feel I've got to speak out here. I know we're not supposed to speak during the parish council meeting, but this is absolutely ridiculous. You've got to compromise, you've got to start to agree, because you're tearing one another to pieces.
We need to move forward.
You do.
We need to move forward as a parish council and get things done.
Stop being so divisive and try to agree with yourselves. Try to move forward. Please.
All we're asking for, Mr Chair, is communication transparency so that we feel that we have confidence in the integrity of this council. And I don't feel that I feel informed. I don't feel...
Constructive questions are always accepted. It is unacceptable when an agenda has been drawn up to ask questions and want things added the night before, especially in such a forceful manner.
That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about everything wrong, you know, the HR bit, the contract, all these bits and bobs that we just don't, the rest of us just don't know about.
Well, you should know about them, it's all there.
No, it's not. Sorry, you don't communicate it.
Right, I'm going to end this now. On the delegation, because I am happy and our RFO is a signatory when needed. And let's face it, if on election day the councillors who are signatories don't get back on, the one person that's still there as a signatory, and let's hope we've still got one councillor who can sign, would be the clerk.
But
Now business could carry on. That is why you have an RFO that can be a signatory. End of. No discussion. Right, item 8. To consider and discuss a training policy. Certainly needed here. There are many courses that can be offered. Are they all through that arena?
Most of them are.
Most of them are. So I suggest we look at a list of training courses and put ourselves forward. I've already said I will attend courses with the chairman and clerk's courses together. I will do that. I would suggest if we had a HR committee, somebody goes on training for that. You'd be happy to do some of that, Rob, if it fits in with your work schedule. And I mean, that's the other thing, we're all council, we've all got jobs, so we have to fit these things in. And I totally understand that. But
most of the training comes out on the weekly newsletter.
yeah.
There hasn't been one this week because they've moved over to a new provider, and it's sent it slightly crazy, so it's not.
Yeah.
I can't log on this week.
It's supposed to be online anyway.
There's a lot of meetings that they do.
Or Zoom.
They either do it in Zoom or do it in person.
Oh, they do it.
They do it in person, depending what course it is.
I think it's Zoom was just in lockdown, wasn't it?
Yeah, but they found for a 2-hour session or a 3-hour session for counsellors, instead of you going all the way up to Dunton, it's just as easy for you to do it on Zoom. So usually, when I send that loud weekly flyer out, it does have all the training that's available.
We've had the expenses policy as well, haven't we?
Yeah.
And just be saying that everything's clearly separated
Very
out.
separated, yeah.
It's 45p a mile or something, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's standard anyway.
Yeah.
Communication policy, clearly needs working on.
So, you know, discussing it, can't we just... What are we actually saying about the training policy? We're agreeing we need one, are we?
We've got one, haven't
Well, I've written one.
With-
I'll send it out to everybody.
we? Yeah.
But do we discuss it?
I'm just not sure what we're doing. Is this to consider and discuss? I mean, if you
Do we
want to
discuss it? Do we say, yeah, we agree with all of that, just go ahead and take another policy from another council, because that's what's happened?
We need policies in place.
I do agree with that, but surely it has to suit us. these policies, not just taken from another parish. I think
I think that one's very generic though, it depends what it is, doesn't it?
it does.
The training policy and the expenses policy
They're straightforward.
is straightforward and
Yeah,
generic.
yeah. Yeah,
What-
but I'm
I
just
think
saying
what's
something-
misleading is to consider and discuss, you know, have we read it? Yes, we have. Are we happy with it, basically, isn't it?
Right, item 9.
So communication policy, we not, are we looking at that one? You just done it?
It's there, we've all agreed to the policies.
We read it.
No, I've not read it, yeah, okay. Just adhere to it then.
Item 9, to discuss the adoption of the Parish Council Facebook page. Any thoughts of anybody?
Is the website up to date? Does that have all the information that we need to provide?
Parish website.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it is now. They've actually updated that we've got a clerk and there's no vacancies now.
No, I've taken
Yeah.
that off, yeah.
Because that was on there.
You've taken, I thought we were paying for somebody to do that.
You pay for his usage of his hours. So if I can upload the minutes, the agenda, take off that bit,
I
it's
see.
saving you money instead of
Right.
Paying out again.
paying, well, not quite paying out because you
You're
paid
already paying.
for a block of so many hours, and instead of using those hours up, you know,
I see, so does that carry over then? So we
So
pay,
that
we pay
carries over.
£180,
Yeah.
don't we?
and that carries over until it's been used up.
Oh, right.
So if I can save you money by updating, taking off this or adding that,
So the parish council Facebook page would be, you would be the administrator. That's what it said in the, somewhere I read it, in one of the things that you sent through. Yeah, the parish clerk was to be the
What's
administrator.
the objective of it?
Keep people informed. It's a little bit more user friendly than having to go on a website if it's on Facebook.
I think
Keep
was
people
the
informed.
lady last time that came and she said she'd probably never look at the website but would look
Facebook.
at Facebook.
Yeah.
Rob's man for that, isn't it?
So how, yeah.
You're the man for that, isn't it?
You don't like
Yeah,
it?
one.
What did you say,
I don't
Ross?
want that job.
No, he doesn't want that job. I don't think I would want that job,
I
I'm
don't want
honest.
that.
Yes, Paul.
There is a lady in the village who is trying to establish a little newsletter, and there is a lot of people who have got the internet today. And I just feel whether you could offer a little bit of assistance to her financially,
We've already
paper,
been there.
whatever, to just help her move it along for that sort of
We haven't got the power to do that.
category. Because
You can't.
you know, you talk about Facebook, there's a lot of us use it, a lot of us go on the website and have a look, but there's a lot of older people that can't get anywhere near that today. And I just wonder if there's any way you can assist her doing that, because I know she has started, I've not seen it, but I know she started something, like we used to have. All the minutes used to be written up, well, notes certainly used to be written up, didn't they?
Notes.
It doesn't have to be to that degree, but I do think she could do with some assistance if she's trying to create that. A pensioner cannot do that alone, can they? I don't think. You can't be all Facebook,
I don't know what we can do.
I can't, oh well, not I, you.
We can't authorise
You
something
can't,
like that.
an
on our own.
individual-
We have to have a vote.
Can't you do
No,
that?
no, we can't even
You
do
think
that.
we can't be seen to be just one, spending money on just one person?
But, you know, if you're saying, well,
But if she,
upgrading that, I mean, what are you thinking about putting on there that would go on Facebook?
no,
Do you know what I
I'm
mean?
just saying, we, on
Basic
this question,
information.
we couldn't pay her
Yeah,
as
well,
an individual,
I
but
understand that.
if it was brought to council and you decided as a council to use her services, that would be a way,
Could we not buy
No.
paper?
Yeah, that's what I mean, the
Yeah.
material
Yeah,
costs,
material
not wages,
costs.
not
No.
wages, I mean, she wouldn't accept that.
If she's volunteer,
It's assistance in the costing
Yeah.
of producing.
if she
Yeah.
became a volunteer for the council to do it, we can cover her expenses.
Yeah, well, I think that's probably,
The-
no, she hasn't asked for that,
No,
but my wife is looking at her thinking she needs help, and Bev hasn't turned up tonight, hasn't come tonight, but it's something she wanted to raise, and because she just discussed the Facebook thing.
that is
It was a
something we
relevant
could
thing to
do
bring up,
as
actually.
Yeah.
her being a volunteer, we can pay her expenses,
It'd have to be on the
But-
agenda.
but it'd have to be on the agenda and we couldn't just give money to an individual.
What are we talking about gifting though? We've had this conversation
It's
before.
gifting,
Well, we
have done
said
it before,
we
yeah.
could give her a, there was something, some term we
It
were
was
able to do.
paper.
Can
Yeah,
you remember
paper.
that?
Yeah,
Somebody gives, like a donation,
yeah, we said that.
Yeah,
we do a
toward-
paper.
yeah.
Something we'll look into.
an award, wasn't it? That was
Well, look-
like a donation.
Thank you for the suggestion, Paul. It's something we'll look into, and if need be, if we go on the agenda at the next meeting to discuss and sort of.
If you don't mind, just one more thing and while we're on this subject. The guy that did the pump, did you know who he is?
Yes.
He's a pensioner as
Yes.
well, and I know him very, very well. I tell you what he needs a thank you letter. He doesn't need any money, he doesn't need anything else, but the old boy wants a thank you letter, and if the parish council could write him a thank you letter for what he did out there, he'd be over the moon.
I had a
I'll
long,
keep quiet there.
I had a long chat with him the other evening, and he's had a verbal thank you, but I take your point.
If you can give me his information,
Yeah.
I can get back to you later on.
I'll pass it on.
Because did we actually pay any money towards the pump in the
No.
end?
He didn't
So
want any money.
no,
No, he
he
didn't.
didn't want any money.
He was giving that as part of the
So he needs
celebration.
a thank you.
Yes, he does.
And can we also include that, the people who cut the verges?
Yeah, we've said this before.
We've brought that up a couple of times about thank you
The people who cut the grass,
on the
people who cut
footpaths.
the hedges, religiously, don't they?
And we did have specific names, didn't we?
We did. But we can't obviously say them in the meeting, so, but we can,
Yeah.
yeah, give them to the clerk.
So back to the item on the agenda, the Facebook pages. We haven't got anybody that wants to be admin yet. Any ideas whether we want it or not?
I think if the website's kept up to date, you know, we also have the notice board, don't we, for anything that should be important, pertinent.
Well,
That's a tricky one, isn't it?
It is a difficult one.
it's another, somebody's got to have another job and setting it up and doing it.
And it's a long-term commitment.
And what sort of thing is it going to include that we're not going to have on the notice boards and?
Well, it gives the same information, basic information of what we discussed and what's been done.
And will it have friends and will it have, you know,
I don't-
followers,
I'm
how it works?
I'm not quite as savvy as I'd like to be on all that.
Neither
but
am I.
how it would work.
I think if we kept the notice board up to date with that information, it wouldn't be necessary.
Sounds like a bit of a no to me.
Well, there's
There's
no
also
volunteer
two
to take
sides,
it
isn't
on.
there? There's
I was going to say the two
two
village
sides
sites,
to the
yeah.
point anyway.
Yeah.
All right,
It's
I
just a
think,
matter of whatever's.
I think we'll say, looking at time, we'll say a no. Everybody happy with that? No? Good.
Yes.
Right. Item 10. To discuss need to target an entrance playing field.
Which entrance is that? The
We-
pedestrian or the,
We've had a letter, haven't we?
Yeah.
is it the pedestrian entrance?
No, it's cars getting scratched as they
Oh,
drive in because of the brambles,
Oh,
etc.
right, yeah. And also the gate, I thought Councillor Wesley were going to do a gate for us.
I was going to shorten the gate. and put
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
you were,
pedestrian
yeah, and that
gate.
was sort of last year, wasn't it? You said you would
Yeah.
do that, that'd be
We was
great help.
waiting for the things to get resolved down at the pavilion,
Mm-hmm.
where I was. And then of course time has passed on and we've had harvest time. So I've not had time to do it. But I've got materials.
Brilliant, yeah, so if you could do that, that straight away would make an impression, wouldn't it, that we've done something?
But it's the overgrown briars. Now I've not actually looked myself at what briars are. I mean you go down there a bit, Roy. Are they from the farm fence side
Yes,
or the
they
house
are.
side?
Yeah, more than.
Yeah, they tend to be on one side, which is the farm side.
So the guy in the White House normally keeps his weed kills that
Yeah,
side,
they
but
do.
at the top end it's getting a bit over there, but not with briars.
So is it on our side
The
or is
briars.
it on the farm side?
Most of
Briars
the
are
farm
coming through the
side,
fence,
but yeah,
from the farmer's side.
they're
So
coming
it's the
through,
farm.
but some's grown onto our side.
Some of it's
It's more
a third of the way into the road as well.
the other side, yeah.
If they're growing on our side, it's our problem. If they're growing through from the other side, it's
They
responsibility
appear
of
to be
somebody else.
growing through.
Are you not allowed to cut the briars? You know, are we not allowed to cut the briars and then give the material back, or how does that work?
Not on the other side of the fence. You can cut your side of the fence, but
Yeah.
not the other side.
No, that's what I'm
Step
saying.
over from our
And then
side,
just say
back
that,
on that
that is
side.
what's come through, and please can you keep on top of the, you know.
I think, knowing the gentleman in question, I'll have a quiet word.
Okay, so leave that one with you as well as the gate then.
Probably have more look at the briars, but there you go. But yes, I'll have a word if they're on this side. I'll have a look, but if they're on this side, I'll have a word.
Thank you.
Item 11, back down to dog poo, landfill, that's normal.
I have got some signs that I can put up.
Is it still continuing work as bad? Yes? Yeah. And nobody's been caught?
Have they been exempted? Where,
No, not
where do we
really.
stand with the bins on the field being empty of dog waste? Because haven't we cancelled the,
No, not till November.
not to November?
No, the
No,
contract is
yeah.
still, yeah.
Who actually empties the bins into,
The purple bin.
Well, Roy's been running around here.
The dog waste.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've been doing it all. So we were going to ask Maria,
Yeah,
wasn't we? Yeah.
Time and time again, nobody's ever spoke to her, I think. I think
I-
Maria said she would do it, wouldn't she?
Yeah, and she goes down once a month to do it, which if you've got all the footballers season now, is probably why you're going along and then
Yeah,
saying,
they don't bring dogs, do they?
no, but I'm just on about in general, the general
Oh, yeah,
waste.
yeah, yeah.
Because Roy says that quite
Yeah.
often it's full when
It is,
he's gone
drinks
down.
bottles, yeah.
Yeah.
But if you've got if it's now football season and she's only going down
Once a month.
once a month,
And then that begs the question, what about after November, whenever that bin goes? What
I
happens
don't
if
think the bin should go, this is the thing, we need them. There's people that are always using the bins over there, always here,
Well, how-
checking back, taking
we
away
have
and
bins
stuff.
overflowing, won't we? What was the plan? What was the long-term plan with cancelling the bin?
Well, the bin wasn't being used for the landfill waste. Was it?
I don't know.
It was full of.
It was, and it was
But
on the
wasn't
waste
it
going in.
open?
Yeah, there's
That's
other
what
ways
it is.
going in it, because
Yeah,
the
But it was
lock,
putting the dog waste in.
Because it was supposed to be locked, wasn't it?
yeah, but the lock is generic, so you can easily get past the lock.
I think basically it was being used. We were paying for somebody else's rubbish, that's why it was considered to be cancelled.
So rather than cancel, maybe we should find a more secure type of bin or something. Because we're going to have a really big issue from the public
You will.
when these bins are overflowing. There's no way to dispose of it.
It's where the waste comes from. I mean, me personally, if I go somewhere and there's no bins, I take the rubbish home with me and put it in the end dustbin.
So are you suggesting we don't provide a bin on a playing field?
No, there are bins on the playing field. It's the main waste bin. It's the large one, not the smaller ones. It's the large one.
Yeah, I agree, but if you don't have the large one to put the small ones into, where are the small ones going to be empty?
I believe that
The small ones are nothing, they're not,
Just little old dustbins, aren't they?
yeah,
dustbins,
they're
yeah.
not collected at all, they're just been floated about. There's no collection of rubbish from there. council-wise.
No. We need a bin of some sort, but we don't have a bin that.
It can't go without a bin.
So I think you'll find you're going to be paying 17 quid for one of them little wheeler bins.
Easy.
Because somebody made a mistake that, right, so.
Right.
No, finish.
No,
If
I'm
I
not
could-
saying
if I could
anymore.
speak.
Can I just bring councillor Small in first, please? Thank you.
It sounds to me that you don't have any SKDC bins.
Yes, we do.
You do?
Yeah, we
They
do.
should be there.
It's a purple bin and it has a meter key on it.
The big
Yeah, but we haven't
trailers.
got any free ones. We
No,
we-
no,
we
Not
get
on the
ones.
playing field.
No.
As long as you exit, which is way away from the field, but so
Okay.
then.
That's it.
In my village, we have got official black SKDC bins in which dog mess in the bags is put, and that is emptied on a regular basis by SKDC. It sounds as though you don't have those.
No, we don't have those, have we?
Okay.
No.
I would take an action away from this to investigate and find out what SKDC can do for you in
Brilliant.
terms of providing you with bins which they will empty.
Mm-hmm.
And are the signs that you've got for dog mess, are they SKDC official signs?
No, they're just a generic.
Okay, I'll see if I can get you some.
That
of those
was-
as
I'll say NKDC.
well. SKDC.
No, mine
So
came
what's-
from NKDC.
Okay, now.
But it doesn't say
No, no, no.
NKDC, it just has the generic dog in the middle of it.
Right, I'll have a look and see if we
It
can get
certainly would
a
be
number of
useful.
SKDC dog waste signs as well.
I seem to remember it. We did look at all this before, and it was really expensive to have it all emptied, wasn't it? And that's why we didn't go that route.
Okay,
So, but
I
if you
don't
could,
know,
it'd be
I will
great.
find out,
Yeah,
I will find
yeah.
out and I'll let you know what the arrangement might be.
Thank you very much.
So do you pay for a bin to be emptied then? Is that what you're saying?
We pay for a bin down there, but it was been filled with other people's rubbish.
You know the big purple
On big wheels.
wheelie ones that you usually find behind the co-op or
I,
that's trade waste.
just this week, Mountains at Pointon, they are providing 1,100 litre bins on wheels, and they are £11.50 a week, and that includes everything.
We pay £17 a month.
17, well it's going up, it'd be 19.
So it's actually cheaper.
Yeah.
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 I think we looked at cancelling the large bin at previous meetings because it was being reduced. It was full of somebody else's waste,
Yeah.
and we were paying for it basically.
But you could end up going downsizing and then still having other people's waste in it, and then you've lost the use of
What I
that
was
big
trying
bin.
to say to you, Dean, that the £17 was for actually one of them wheeler bins.
It's really good.
So we've got a bigger bin.
We've got a
Got a
bigger
bigger
bin for
bin,
the £17, which the bin man told me about,
Right.
and he said, you've got a good deal with it.
No, we certainly have got a good deal. So, yeah.
Well, I think we should certainly discuss that before we do cancel it then.
Definitely.
Is that possible, Maria? We can do that? Because what we don't want is a pile of waste down there,
There's a couple of black bags at the side of it now.
Is that the beginning of November that applies? Or that's going to be
End
End
of
of
November.
End.
bit of breathing space there.
Okie dokie, right, we'll move on to item 12, planning applications. We've got Gosdale Farm application to create a pond with an agricultural field. I'll have a look at it.
No, there's no problem with that.
No problem.
Can't see an issue. No, not an issue.
You sure it's not going to turn into a reservoir?
No, that's all right. Not that big, mate. I don't think we're going to get tidal wave.
That no comment then.
No, yeah.
Alright,
No objections anyway. Edendale Cottage, West Road, change of use of annex.
yeah, that's just outstanding.
Yeah.
What do you actually mean by outstanding?
They haven't made a decision yet.
The council.
Yeah.
So have we put input on that already?
Yeah. It's just there to keep it on there, and then once either accepted, refused as being on, then I'll just drop it off.
so too, isn't it?
Yeah.
So,
No problems on it.
item 13, to accept the terms of reference of the village hall clock.
Okay.
That's
I've read it,
Mhm.
and there was just a little thing that I sort of picked up on. It says the clock on the building or something. No, it doesn't say the clock on the building. It says on the inside of the building, and it's on the outside of the building. That was all my finding of it.
what's that.
The clock was purchased by Pointon and Sempringham Parish Council and is listed on the Parish Council Asset Register.
Yeah.
It is sited on the front of the village hall, as requested by the village hall chairman. As the clock belongs to the parish council, it is covered by the parish council insurance,
Yeah.
as per the insurance policy schedule, and the cost of yearly servicing or any required repair of the clock will be covered by the village hall.
Have we checked that with the village hall?
I sent the same information out, and like I said, I haven't kept it just to us, I have sent it out to the village hall. And, you know, if there's anything that needs altering, this is the reason that it was brought tonight.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right, the question would be is what's the purpose of the entry on here? Is it for the parish council to decide the terms and condition to then send it to the village hall? Or,
That's why I sent it to you, so you
Right,
have a say as well.
so you're looking for a response from the village
If you
hall?
want,
tonight? Fine, that wasn't
Yeah.
clear. Okay, so just to go with that again, in a nutshell, the parish council wants to retain ownership and have it on their asset register, but the village hall will simply be borrowing the clock in effect to hang on the front of the hall. We would pay for the electric to keep it running. Any servicing the village hall would be liable for. If I go back to the original request, which was the parish council was to give a grant of £1,000 to the village hall for a clock, which would then belong to the village hall, so that there is no confusion over ownership, responsibility, liability and all the rest. Yeah? But that's changed. The village hall would have had to have paid the VAT. The parish council said, well, if we buy the clock, we can claim the VAT back and therefore only cost £1,000. So the village hall said, yeah, that's a good idea. The assumption was it would be treated like a grant and would be given, the clock would be given to the village hall. So again, with no confusion over ownership. If it fell off the front door and landed on somebody, who's now responsible? So the clock actually is owned by the parish council, but it's been put on the front of the hall. Right. Original idea, parish council buys the clock, gives it to the village hall. No problems. The village hall's liable for it, the village hall's responsible for maintaining it, the village hall owns it. No problem. So now the proposal to the parish, to the village hall is not that. It's still now owned. They're suggesting ownership is retained by the parish council, but the village hall has all responsibility.
If I'm right, we couldn't claim to that VAT back
If
for
we-
the grant.
Correct. The village hall would have to pay the VAT. Because we will do, unless parish council buy it and then give us the clock. Because that way you get the VAT back. It just saves the village hall 100 and...
But we could be done for fraud for that.
How does that
I
work
don't
then?
think so.
It is one of those that we can't. We buy it, and if it's for us, we can claim the VAT back. We can't sort of be double dipping.
Why can't we gift it? I was just thinking, why can't we gift it?
Entirely up to you on that. But it's
Are we allowed
it's
to?
like we shouldn't have done the same with the coins. the school paid the VAT for the coins. It should have been us that paid the whole lot, and then we could have claimed that VAT back. Could have done it that way, and then they could have still given us a gift towards
Becoming
The coins as well.
Can we just stick
I
to
think,
the clock?
yeah, because
Yeah.
we
Stick to the
started
clock.
looking,
Gift the
we
clock.
looked into one thing and it threw up questions
Lots of other
about the
things.
others.
Yeah.
So to understand, basically making us aware of legalities that we weren't aware of
At
at the time,
Mm.
basically.
But if we as a council said, we'll give you £1,000, and then there was the VAT that wasn't accounted for, so we said, okay, we'll buy the clock so we can get that VAT sorted, then why can't we just gift it to the village hall?
It wouldn't be on the asset register
It
then.
would be on the asset register.
But it doesn't have to be,
And
does
then
it? If
it's,
you're gifting it,
Then it becomes the responsibility of the village hall then to actually insure, etc., etc.
in the future, it just sounds so complicated.
It does.
I think it's one of the things we've got to read through and make sure we're right legally, because if we are, yeah, I agree with you.
Has the parish council actually, they paid for it and claimed it back, have they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
So why don't you just hang it on the village hall and pay for the services? If it's the parish council asset, why not with the village hall bit? Why not the parish council? If it wants a service, the parish council pay for it. It's the parish council asset.
Yeah, I agree.
And then you could say that about the electricity then, couldn't you?
But
And then it
they
goes on
offer
and
the
on.
electricity.
Yeah, but
He's
if
not
we-
to 50p a week to run a clock.
yeah, I know.
Would you agree that if it's legally possible to gift the clock to the village hall, then there's a simple demarcation of responsibility. Ownership is by the village hall, it's looked after by the village hall. If it falls off and lands on somebody, it's the village hall's problem.
I think,
If we could look at, can you legally, having bought an item, can you then give that item to another charity, whatever it might be?
I think we've got to look into that and then put it on the agenda for the next meeting.
It could have a little plaque or something, couldn't it? Or a notice inside the village hall saying, Parish Council purchased the clock.
We haven't started about plaques.
Oh, no.
I think we'll check the legalities first,
Yeah.
it'll be on the agenda the next meeting,
Okay.
we discuss and vote it on, okay?
And I'll double check the blue tax still in place on.
Got some gaffer tape in borrow. Right, so if we're done with that,
Disappear.
our next meeting will be here on Tuesday the 22nd of November at 7:30. Yeah? So I will now close the meeting. Thank you very much for